So hello guys. So here's the question from blind 75. I have taken the next question, that is container with most water. Okay, it is the question number 11 from the lead code. Okay, so what the question is saying basically, uh, basically in the question we have given an integer array of height, of length n, and we have to and basically they are the vertical lines drawn. Okay, and we have to basically form a container with taking two lines. Okay, any two lines, and we have to maximize the container. We have to return the maximum area of the container. Okay, that can store the water. Let's basically, you can read the question from the lead code. I will explain the question little bit more. Okay, so let's deep dive in the question. Okay, explanation of the question. So what basically I have written here, these are the heights of those containers, basically these lines and the indexes of these lines. Okay, and this is the height array that basically input would be there. Okay, so what we have to do is basically we have to maximize the area of the container. Okay, we have to take two lines so that if we calculate the area, so it would be the maximum area of total in these all lines. Okay, if we have basically what we have to do is basically we have to choose two lines and we have to calculate the area, and that would the maximum area in all the lines. Okay, so this is the basically basic question that we have to basically return, basically answer. Okay, so let's see how this thing whole work. And the main thing here is that we don't have to slant the container. Okay, so here, just okay. So here it is horizontally. Okay, it is horizontally added, not as a slant. Okay, so we don't have to add slant, we have to just add horizontally. Okay, so if you see these two lines, these two they have taken at the seventh index and the first index, they are basically what they are doing, the minimum of this basically line. Okay, they are taking the minimum of the line. Okay, so let's just understand a little bit more with area, calculating area, how we will calculate the area. Okay, how area is calculated of any container. There are two things that area needed: length and length into breadth. Okay, this is the formula for area. Okay, so if there is a container, it is simply will have two things, that is length and breadth. Okay, so if we see, this is basically what, this is breadth and this is the length. Okay, and this is area of the container. Okay, so that's the thing, we have to basically choose two things, breadth and length, and we have to just calculate the area. So if we see for this example, length, if this container of, if I just basically make the let's just highlight this. Okay, if this is the container, okay, let's just make it more big, fine. Okay, so okay, so here's the deco. Okay, so I have outlined the area. Okay, that is basically that the container that the answer is giving. Okay, so if we calculate the length or breadth, okay, so here's the basically breadth. So what is breadth of this? Breadth is simply 7, the height of this smallest basically line. Okay, so length is 7. Okay, and what is breadth? This. Okay, so this whole thing, if I just write it more perfectly, then simply, okay, okay, so okay, so this is length. Okay, and if it is the container and it is the length and it is the breadth. Okay, length is simply the shortest of the two line. Okay, the two line that have choose that we have choose is the minimum of the two line is the length. Okay, and what is the breadth? Let's calculate breadth. Breadth will be simply the basically a difference of the indexes. Okay, so index here is 8. Okay, and the here index is 1. The 8 minus 1, that is, if we calculate 8 minus 1, okay, so the breadth would be simply 7. Okay, so here's the breadth is 7, length is 7. So what will the area would be 7 into 7, that is 49. Okay, so it would the maximum area that will be found. Okay, so here's this total. Basically, I have explained this, the answer, how if you check output is basically 49. Okay, so if you will form any other container, the answer would be not, basically answer can't be formed. Okay, let's check for this container. Let's take this as a copy and then paste here. Okay, if you want to check any other container, okay, let's check. Okay, so let's check this container where the heights are basically maximum. Okay, let's check this container. So what would the length of this container? Simply the height of this largest minimum of these two. Okay, so both are basically equal, so minimum could be anyone. And so here's the height is simply 8. Okay, so length is 8 and the breadth is here is breadth. What would the breadth would be simply the difference of their indexes. What is the difference? This is 6 and this is 1. So difference breadth is simply 6 minus 1. 6 minus 1 equals to 5. So what with the area? Area would be simply 8 into 5 equals to 40. Okay, so here's the area is simply 40. Okay, so we are saying that area is 40 and the here the area was 49, so obvious the maximum area is 49. So that's why we have not taken these maximum two lines. Okay, so you got the thing that how what this question is, what we have to calculate. Okay, so the two things that you have seen here, that is basically for area, for maximize area, we want two things. But okay, to calculate maximum area, we want length and breadth. Okay, and the length here is simply minimum of two height that we are choosing. Okay, height of I comma height of j, or we will see in the code. Okay, and the breadth is simply j minus I, difference of the indexes. Okay, so and the simply area would be length into breadth. Okay, so this is the approach, basically what we have to do. Basically we have to calculate for, so this is the approach what we have to do. So let's go to the approach how we will solve it. So for brute force, approach number one, that is basically brute force. For brute force, we will simply, what we will do is we will simply iterate through, we will use two loops and iterate through every two lines. Okay, for every two lines we will calculate the minimum of, we will calculate length and we will calculate breadth and simply calculate the area. And for every two line the area would be there and we will simply return the maximum area. So if we write the simple brute force, what would this brute force? We will simply loop 2, that is for I equals to 0 to n minus 1. Okay, and for next loop for j equals to I plus 1. Okay, from next index to n minus 1. Okay, so here's what will happen. We will simply calculate every time area. Area would be simply minimum of height I comma height j into me into multiply j minus I. Okay, so it would be simply area, and we will take a maximum area variable that is simply max r every time, max the area every time. Okay, so at last we will simply return the max area. So this is basically the brute force approach that would be simply this is how the brute force will work, and the time complexity is simply big of n square because we are iterating twice. Basically we are using two loops. Okay, so simply its time complexity is big of n square, and the space complexity is simply big of 1 because we are not using any extra space. Okay, so this is the brute force. Okay, but we can basically do it better. Okay, so the next approach is two pointer approach. Okay, we could simply use two pointer to calculate this. Okay, so what we will do is we will basically, if I take this example, let's take this height. Okay, so if I take this example, what we will do is basically we will take two pointers, that is one I here and the one at last j. Okay, so what we will do is basically we will every time we will uh, check for minimum. Uh, Basically, we will calculate length. That is simply minimum of height of I and height of j. Okay, every time height of we will calculate length and then breadth. Okay, so simply it would be j minus I. Okay, so it will simply calculate the area every time. Okay, so it will calculate the area every time. Okay, so the area would be calculated. Then for first time it will simply calculate the area. Okay, so for first time, and then after how will we basically we will move. Okay, so if the value basically let's check, let's iterate how this whole thing will work. Okay, so you will explain it you will basically understand better. Okay, so for first iteration it is simply, for first iteration I would be here at first index and j would be at last index. Okay, so what we will do is basically we will calculate length. Okay, I will write here first. Okay, so L will be L, that is length would be simply minimum of height of these two. So minimum is 1. Okay, and breadth would be simply here the if I the total numbers are 8, so let's take the last index, that is last index 8, so simply 8 minus 0. Okay, so the breadth would be 8 minus 0, that will simply be 8, and the area would be 8 into 1, that is 8. Okay, so for first iteration area would be 8. So simply if we will move, so main here key thing is which I or j, which should we move further. Okay, so if we want to maximize the area, simply we have to move this I. Why I? Because 7 is greater. Okay, 7 is greater and 1 is smaller. Okay, if we will move j, then simply the area would be become lower. Okay, because minimum value is here and maximum value is here, so simply we will move I to here. Okay, then again we will calculate for 7 and 8, it will simply give 49. Okay, if I write here, the second iteration would be L will be equals to what? L will be equals to 7 and B will be equals to 7, because why 7? 8 minus 1 equals to 7, and it will simply give what? Area would be 49. Okay, so this is the area, and the max we will simply calculate every time maximum area, and the area maximum area would be 49. Then again, who is basically minimum? This 7. We will simply move this. Okay, the minimum value basically will be moved. Okay, then again we will calculate for this value, then again the minimum is this, so this will move. Okay, so if the both values are equal, we can move anyone. Okay, so simply we can move this, and then minimum is this, we can simply move uh, move is this and this and this. Okay, so simply it will calculate for every value. Okay, and when the j and I would pass each other, it will simply break the loop. Okay, it will form it will work in the whole loop. Okay, so this is the whole approach of two pointer, and would simply at last return the maximum area. Okay, so I will explain you the code in LeetCode also, and I will provide you the code in GitHub also. Okay, so here's the code in LeetCode. Okay, so let's write the code in front of you. Okay, so what we have to do is basically first let's take the variables, that is int left equals to 0 and int right, that will be at the last index. Okay, nums dot no, okay, no, it's height dot size minus 1. Okay, so these are the left and the right. Okay, so simply what we will do is basically while left is smaller than right. Okay, while left is smaller than right, basically left is not past the right. Okay, you can simply take ioj. Okay, that I have taken. Okay, an example, while left is not smaller than right, basically we will calculate the int area. Basically we will calculate every time area and minimum of what, height of left. Okay, height of left and height of right. Okay, the minimum value, and this simply what we will do is basically we will multiply it with right minus left. Okay, that is j minus I that I have told you. Okay, so it will simply calculate the minimum area, and once I have not taken the int max area. Okay, so we will simply max take the max value of the every time. Okay, so this is, and the next thing was if the height. Okay, then we have to move the left and right, the or inj. If height of left, the smallest height would be move. Okay, height of left is smaller than height of right. Okay, so we will simply move left plus plus. Okay, and if not else condition, just simply move right minus minus. Okay, simply at last we could return max area. Okay, so here's the, let's run it. Okay, first let's check if is there any mistake. Oh, so fine, it's working fine, and here's the answer. Okay, it's accepted. Okay, so